Hello, everyone. Okay, this week's parasha is Parashat Teruma. Also, this week is a week before Purim, and therefore we're going to read also Parashat Zachor. It's all about Amalek, which means remembering of Amalek, and there's a mitzvah for man, 13 years old and up, above 13, should come to shul and hear the parsha of Zachor. Everyone is obligated to come to hear the Parashat Zachor. Woman, there's a dispute about women if they have to hear Parashat Zachor, don't have to hear Parashat Zachor. If a woman could come to shul, there would be great mitzvah for her to hear Parashat Zachor. If she cannot, then she cannot. Okay. This week's parsha is Parashat Teruma. It talks about the building of Mishkan. It talks about the donations that they collected for Mishkan, for building of Mishkan, and they also collected for the vessels of Mishkan, building of the vessels of Mishkan. So they had to collect, and they had to build the Mishkan and also the vessels. Now, what is Mishkan? Mishkan was like a movable Bet HaMikdash. It was a place where they brought korbanot, where they did avodah, services for Hashem, a place where they brought sacrifice to Hashem. Now, since they were in desert, and so Mishkan therefore was a movable Bet HaMikdash, which means whenever they would travel, they would they would break the Mishkan, and then they would reassemble it. Whenever they would stop, they would reassemble it and use the Mishkan as Bet HaMikdash, as a place where they would bring sacrifices and do all other avodah, all the services of holy services that they were supposed to do. So they were supposed to build. So the Torah mentions there was they were collecting for Mishkan and also for the vessels. So the Torah mentions that there will be a Mishkan and also the vessels. And the first vessel that's mentioned is Aron. Aron was a special box. It was contained of 3 boxes. One box that had 3 boxes inside. What is it? It was so inner box was made out of gold. The outer box also was made out of gold, and the middle box was made out of wood. So there were 3 boxes combined. It was one big box, and it had inside this box, it had luchot, the 10 Commandments, and also it had the Torah. So they had 2 Torah. It had the Torah, and it had 10 Commandments, the first 10 Commandments and the second 10 Commandments inside this box. So this was a holy ark. This was considered to be Aron, like a holy Aron. Now, what's interesting is in Parashat Vayakel, when Bezalel, the one who constructed the Mishkan, when it came time, he's the one who built it, who built all the vessels and the Mishkan. So what he did was he built the Mishkan, but first he erected the Mishkan and then he started building Aron. So Moshe came to him and he told him, what are you doing? Like, first you have to build Aron and then you'll erect the Mishkan. So he answered him, Bezalel answered him, he told him, listen, he said, I don't want the Aron to be out, meaning I want to first build a house for the Aron, for this box, for this holy box, and then I will build the Aron. So you should not stay outside, without a house. And Moshe asked Hashem. Hashem agreed with Bezalel, and this what happened. So, and this what happened that Mishkan was erected first, and then it was the Aron was built. So the question is, so why does the Torah first mention Aron? If so, if afterwards Hashem agreed with Bezalel to erect the Mishkan and then make the Aron, so why does the Torah mention Aron first? So Midrash answers, and the Midrash says like this, that Aron was mentioned first to teach us that if a person wants to succeed in something, it has to be built. It has to be the foundation has to be Torah, meaning it has to be built on the Torah, and only then there will be a success. Only then there will be a success. Why? Because it was built on the foundation of the Torah. Yeah, so the first thing has to be a Torah, and only then, if it's built on that foundation, only then there will be a great success. And the Midrash brings a proof, and Midrash says, what did Hashem create first? Hashem created light first. Why light? Because light represents Torah. Light represents Torah. That's why Hashem created light. Yeah, Hashem first created light in order to show that the world needs light. The world needs light. And what's that light? Light is the Torah. Before Hashem created sea, oceans, man, anyone else, Hashem first created light. Why? In order to show that this is, meaning the world has to succeed, meaning it has to be, the foundation has to be the Torah. It has to be founded on the Torah. Now, in order to understand this, we have to see, every time Jews went on exile, let's say when they went into exile, Jewish people always, the first thing they did was to build institutions of Torah. Like, for example, the first time when the Jews went into exile was by Yaakov Avinu. Yeah, Yaakov lived in the land of Canaan, and he had to go down to Egypt. What he did was he sent his son Yehuda. So Yehuda went down and he built the institutions of Torah. He built the Torah. He built Bet Midrash in Egypt, in Goshen, in the land of Goshen, and only then Yaakov went down to Mitzrayim. Why? Because in order for Jewish people to succeed, you need the foundation of the Torah. And every time in exile, we see every time Jewish people went down to exile, first Hashem made it so that first there was a foundation built of the Torah, and then the Jewish people went down to exile. For example, also by the destruction of the first Bet HaMikdash. Right before the destruction of first Bet HaMikdash, Nebuchadnezzar, he took the Talmidei Chachamim and he brought them to Bavel. He brought them into Bavel, and then after a few years, the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, and the rest of the nation the rest of the Jewish nation were brought down to Bavel. They came to Bavel. So we see first the foundation was built, which means the foundation of the Torah institutions were built, and only then Hashem brought down the nation. The Jewish people came down to Bavel. Now, so this is true, except for one time, when in America there was no Torah institutions, there was no Torah yeshivot, all these things did not exist before 1940s or 1930s, and what happened was, in late 1800s, when many Jews came to America, when they came to American shores, and since there was no Torah learning, since there was no yeshivot, since there was no real yeshivot, what happened was we lost a lot of our nation. The Jewish people got lost. They became not religious. They became non-observant, and they all disappeared. We don't know what happened to them. They all intermarried, and all their children became not religious, and it all. They all disappeared until the yeshivot were built in America. Yeah, 1930s, 1940s. After that, when the yeshivot were built in America, slowly Jewish people were able to rebuild themselves, and that whatever we see, the religious level that we see, was all because we have yeshivot. The Jewish nation is existing is only because we have the yeshivot, is because the Torah foundation. Yeah, if there is no Torah foundation, meaning if there is no Torah foundation, what happens is the people could get lost. There's intermarriages. People become, people become they mix in with non-Jews, and slowly they lose themselves. Even if a person, let's say he moves to a city or state, and there is no yeshivas there. There's no yeshivas. There's only public schools, and there's no yeshivas. There's a big chance that the children will get lost. They will get lost, meaning there'll be intermarriages and there'll be other things, and there won't be continuation of Jewish people. So everything has to be built on the Torah foundation, and that's why. And this is what Torah teaches us. Aaron was the first thing, meaning he had to build Aaron. He had to build the Aaron. Why? To hold on the Torah. Aaron that holds on the Torah, the foundation of the Torah, and only then there'll be a continuation of the Jewish people. Shabbat Shalom.